Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne. My guest today is Lalitha, and she is the best-selling author and life coach, speaker, entrepreneur, Vedic Astrology meditation teacher. She is a researcher of human consciousness who has dedicated the last 2 decades to guiding people to their highest potential and spiritual growth. And so I'm excited to be able to talk to her because she has a wide range of knowledge and wisdom here. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited. I love your crystals, your energy. It's really beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Share with us a little bit. What brought you to do what you do today? Like, what led you down this path to work in the areas that you work in today?
I feel that my life changed overnight. I went to live in Florida for 2 months. We lived in Chicago with my husband and the children, but our house was being renovated. And we went to Florida, my children and I, 2 little children. And I left Chicago with the intention of studying Ayurveda and yoga, which I had no idea what they were. I just had that strong intention, and I did. I signed up for a yoga class. It was hatha yoga, I remember, and I loved it. And also, I went into this esoteric store. It looked pretty much like your house. And the book almost fell on my feet. Literally, I walked to this shelf, a white shelf with all these books, and my eyes went on this book. It was Autobiography of a Yogi. Huh. No surprise there, right? Paramahansa Yogananda, that's the beginning for many people in the West. And I fell in love with this book. And then I was already studying and reading Ayurveda, which is the ancient medicine of India. I became fascinated. My house became Ayurvedic. My food became Ayurvedic. There was a policy of 100% organic in my house. And that was in the 90s. So 1993, it all started. And from that day on, even though I was working in PR, I was working for the Italian government at the Italian consulate. Slowly, I lost interest in my work, which I originally loved. Also, there was a turning point because sometimes the universe gives us a little nudge or a little push. So all of a sudden, from having a decent career where I was doing very well, and I worked in cultural affairs always for various organizations and also for the Italian consulate. So what happened was that when I switched to a PR job, initially it was fantastic. I was successful. Like the media would call me and say, "Do you have a story?" And I was like, "Yes, I do, in fact." And then all of a sudden, 2 of my clients, one was at the Institute of Psychoanalysis in Chicago, another one was an author. I could not help them, no matter what I tried. My whole team tried. We knew anchors, anchormen, and nothing worked. So after feeling really depressed and really inadequate, you know how it is, I thought I want out here. And then in the New York Times, there was an article. It was the front page. I was so stressed out in my PR job. This was the headline or the subhead, I forget. But I decided to study yoga and I loved it so much that I quit my PR job. And I thought that this is what I want. I already knew yoga. I'd been practicing for like 10 years by then. And I wanted to do just that, just wear flip-flops, yoga pants, and do nothing else. No media, no newspapers. At the time, we read a lot. I had to read 5 newspapers, and I was a basket case. I realized that when I meditated, I was very peaceful and joyful. And after reading 5 newspapers in the morning, I was a basket case. really black and white. So I thought, this is not for me. And from that day on, it all kept piling up. I moved to India, kind of moved because my children were still, high school and college. So 6 months in India, come back. So after those 5 years, I realized the best of my methodologies were Vedic astrology because they helped figuring out this person. I studied a lot of psychology, formally in school, and the literature in college. But what I realized was Vedic astrology shows me the soul of this person and where they want to go, where they're coming from in their past lives. And I could really see a difference when instead of doing yoga, people resist meditation because we have a busy, busy mind. Then I thought, no, Vedic astrology is a very quick way to help people and tell them, this is what will work for you if you like it. Okay, it's not written in stone. I think destiny is pretty fluid and we have so much guidance. All we have to do is look within and getting that information that can really tweak your path. And if it resonates with you, then you'll experience more success, more joy, and more fulfillment, and you feel this is my purpose. It has to resonate with my client, of course. I never push anything. I respect, the path of the soul. And also from that day on, I decided to go more public. So I started to write articles and blogs. And then after getting all these certifications and also a BA in Vedic astrology, I went deeper and deeper. And then I contributed to this, amazing magazine from India. It's like the number one, I believe, in the world. So it became really my path. But now I'm seeing there's so much more because the frequency on the earth plane has changed so much. I don't know. I'm sure you resonate with that. And with all these frequencies that we are getting from the sun and our galaxy has changed, the earth plane has changed. All of a sudden, my original intuition, which was quite strong, has blown up. It's like I'm having the visions from past lives and all these. I used to get those, but not so frequently. Mostly because I was trained to be an intellectual, and that always takes you away from your inner guidance. But now that I'm fully into my spiritual path, fully dedicated to facilitating the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age we started last year, now I feel, oh, wow, look, oh, that's why this happened. That's why. And I see all these images and I feel everybody has that gift. And it really makes a difference because when you have three choices, with your intuition, you can choose the perfect one for you. Yes, you can still use astrology, which is really a super science in my view and my research of 15 years. But our intuition is God. It's the highest intelligence because it's not convoluted and it's devoid of fears, of prejudice, imprints, and conditioning. You know what I mean, right? We go to school and we are not taught who we are. We're not told that we are God. We're told to be quiet and to listen to the teacher, to the parents, or to everybody, which we do very dutifully, right? I was not rebellious. I went to catechism and I lost my love for God. I mean, how weird is it, right? Almost overnight with all those convoluted teachings. And I love Jesus. I'm a follower of Yeshua. At the same time, we have strayed away from God, I believe, which is a curse pretty much because we forgot who we are. So now that all these frequencies coming back, I believe that now we're all ready. Yes, we need to become fully psychic. We are ascending to a higher dimension. That's not some blah blah invented by the new age. Already in ancient Roman times, Virgil predicted a golden age that would come and the end of the Iron Age, which is what? Blasting people with nuclear weapons or whatever weapons. And so that's the end. And we're seeing the end of it. It's very ugly, but we're seeing the end of it. And soon we'll be full in this time of bliss and higher intelligence, and we're rising every day. And I think everybody can relate to that. But maybe people who didn't want to hear anything about God, maybe last year, now this year, saying, well, maybe there's something. Maybe I feel, and I'm talking really usually to people who are fully into divine consciousness and Christ consciousness, which is all back. It's all returned. I also believe that we have ETs, very evil ones that are leaving the airplane, and also very benevolent ones, which was one of the themes of my recent book. It was an international bestseller in the US and Australia. So people are starting to resonate with the idea, no, we're not alone. It would make no sense. There are infinite universes. We live in a multiverse. It can simultaneously on the third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, depending on the moment of the day. So people are starting to understand that, and they love it. At least my clients do, my students do. My family is even getting there, actually. Even my husband accompanied me to a spiritual retreat last summer, which was his first, and he loved it. And he's quite intellectual. He's a lawyer. He has never looked into these things, despite having a wife like me, bringing Ayurveda, yoga, and meditation, and pujas, rituals, because what do we do when we connect with a goddess or with a god? We understand ourselves. We understand that we are that, which is what the yogis have always said. You are that. No, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma, the creator God. So that was all intellectual once upon a time and philosophical, and now it's actually literal. You are the creator God. How bad is it? It's fantastic, right? So we can solve a lot of problems very quickly, and the time has come, I believe.
I love that. But there are people out there that don't know, they don't trust their intuition because they think they kind of push it to the side, like, oh, that can't be, or that's not happening, or that's me talking to myself, or that's me bringing that in. What do you tell people when you coach or teach them? Because I have that, I know, and I mean, I have lots of people that understand that this is intuitive, this is psychic, this is within. But we also have a lot of people just now stepping into this energy. They're just now connecting, and they're like, but that's my voice. So it can't be intuitive. That's my inner, So what do you tell those people on how do you trust? How do you know that it's not
It is
your
a
voice?
sensitive topic. You're right. Some people are afraid of that. They've been told it's BS, or worse, that it's Satan. So yes, it's in your voice most of the time, but that's a good thing. Otherwise, we'll get so scared, freaked out if we see a light being in our bedroom, right? That can be really scary and challenging. I realize that. But most of the time, we really have to listen, be quiet. Because when we are in a state of intuitive insight, we're very happy, peaceful, very calm. For example, on October 26th, first of all, I wrote an article a month ago, about a month ago, about the election results, these results of the election. And purely from an intellectual point of view, I didn't want to get upset. I didn't want to get swayed by the political division. I didn't care. I just wrote it according to the planets, and I said this person will win because he's in this period of Jupiter, etc., etc. Okay, so I got it right. But then one morning I was doubting and thinking, what's going to happen in this country? And then I woke up one morning, it was Saturday, and Saturdays are usually challenging because they're ruled by Saturn. Saturn is what? The planet of hard work, the planet of charity, the planet of do your job, work first and play later, that kind of energy. People choose it for their fun party, but usually it doesn't work. But For some people, it works. So I was really happy and very peaceful, but happy because of what? Because my intuition was working and I felt, oh, I know that this is true. This is what's going to happen in the United States. And I'm not partisan. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I really am a yogi. I really like what? Justice, peace, food for everybody, like some kind of world where you can live and your children can thrive, etc. And I felt, oh, there's so much peace. I bet that the results of the election, they may be turbulent, but they will lead to some good change. Okay. I didn't have any preference because I liked the fact that a woman could become president, the Shakti of the goddess, right? But then I felt all this positive energy. And I feel that that was an intuition that things would change for the better, maybe better health for for Americans who are not lazy. My experience of Americans being a foreigner here is that Americans work the hardest. They work longer hours than Japanese people. I know because I've lived in Japan. And I feel Americans are not lazy. They are not crazy. They want clean food. They want clean water. They want, and this has been at the center of my passions always since for 40 years now. Like first time I saw the list of ingredients in America, which were banned all over the world, I was very upset. I used to get very, very angry with these companies who didn't care. And now we have gone as far as we can. Right? Our environment is destroyed. Our food is tainted. It's dangerous to eat some foods. So now I think, okay, these things have to change. So I feel, oh, there is a politician who talks about these things. So why am I talking about these current events? Because it's all about our inner guidance. Life becomes better when you trust yourself. You will not be swayed by the media. You will not be swayed by a preference, a prejudice, etc. You'll know that that's the path for you, right? So even if out of this election, one thing comes that they remove the fluoride from the water, I'm extremely happy because it's been like a sting in my heart for so many decades. The dentist, pediatric dentist used to give pills to my children. And I said no, and they continued to do it against my will. And then my children's teeth became over fluoridated with white spots. And I finally had to be tough and say, I will sue you if you give another pill of fluoride to my kids. And it worked because some of these pushy doctors, really all they need is for you to regain your sovereignty and say no more, right? And so that worked. And we've not had any fluoride in this house, and the water is always purified. So these are not small things because actually just the one thing of the fluoride, I believe because all these goddesses are returned to the earth plane, we're understanding, yes, the fluoride is a poison. It makes you dull. It lowers the IQ in infants and also in adults. And we have a long way to go to clean up this planet. And so the goddess archetype has returned. Who is the goddess? The mother. She is a nurturer. She loves. And women have that more spontaneously, although the goddess is in everybody. It's called Shakti in the Vedic tradition. And the Shakti is in women. Women want what? Good food for everybody. They want to nurture. They also want to love more. They care more about the long-term relationships, usually, okay? There are exceptions, but you know that, right? But typically a woman wants what? A long-term relationship, wants to have beautiful, healthy children, cares about the other children. If a mother, soccer mom, cares about the other kids too, she's not just all, typically, that's my experience. The mothers cared about everybody. And also, I see that women are more inclined to care about everybody in the world. And men are getting there because they've been beaten up to be as tough and heartless they could, right? I have two boys. So I could see that at home they were in one way, in the world they wanted to be tough, not have any feelings. They tried to pretend they didn't care. And I thought that has to end. The men can be very strong and masculine, even though they're full of love and compassion. And we have these archetypes. They exist in other cultures. They exist in the Vedic culture. For example, we have Rama, who is extremely loving, extremely refined and beautiful. At the same time, he's the toughest. He kills all the demons. He is able to remove all the demons in the Silver Yuga, which is 35,000 years ago. These demons were killing all the holy people and families in some places of India. And I believe this is history. I know some people say it's an epic. Yes, but myth is an eternal reality, says my teacher, my guru. And I believe it's true. I call them documentaries. This is the history of humanity. So we had this king who was really loving and very cared about his people and his family, his wife, his mother, father, mothers. At the time, there were queens, lots of them. And so what happened was that all the demons were destroyed. And yes, it happens in cycles on Earth, the Earth plane. In Satya Yuga, the demons are in another galaxy. In Silver Yuga, called Treta Yuga, the demons are on the Earth plane, but the good still works. The good is still very powerful. So all the demons are destroyed eventually, and so good wins, right? Like Rama wins, Krishna wins. So Krishna was in a different area. This is another archetype, but he was also king. So that was Dwapara Yuga, what we call the Bronze Age, the sword, the weapons. They had nuclear weapons in India. They had Vimana, flying machines. So our history has been tweaked, let's say that, by certain powers that I like to think they were. So we don't have a true history. We have forgotten that this is not the first civilization. In fact, we are kind of behind in many ways to other civilizations that were in the higher ages of Golden Age, Silver Age, even Dwapara Yuga, which is the Bronze Age, was more, the people were more righteous. But at that time, the demons live in the same family. So Krishna had to battle his family, one branch of his family that were very evil, very, very evil. So demons, right? We use that term. And so the demons were defeated in this huge war called Kurukshetra, the Mahabharata. And so evil is destroyed. But in Kali Yuga, which is about 5,000 years, we have been full in it, about 6,000, it overlaps. Krishna said, it's going to be so dark, I have to leave, and he died. He said, but I will return when evil has reached its maximum. Well, we just reached our maximum just a few years ago. I believe in 2020, we've seen the horrors of the world. We were all sitting at home, so we noticed, all this darkness and wrongdoing in the world. And from the moment on, there's been a shift for the positive. So according to this incredible lineage of yogis from India who are prophetic, who are fully psychic and omniscient even, the Golden Ages returned, and it started in December 2023, which was one of my themes also of my books. And now it's up to us what we do with all this light. We have all this solar activity, right? All these neutrinos, photon light coming to the Earth plane super, super fast. And now we're waking up. What are we going to do now with that? It's up to us. Do we want to use it to control another country or another, trying to start a war, a world war, or we want to rebuild, clean up our Earth, give our children better foods, talk to the companies that are making these medications that kill, their side effects are so bad. And so it's our time, and the goddess archetype is fully present now because I'm having all these visions, and the goddesses I've studied, I've been to a lot of temples in India, and these temples are built on ley lines, very powerful vortexes, divine vortexes, where your consciousness will shift. Like all of a sudden you start thinking different thoughts. You feel more powerful, more intelligent. Whatever happens depends on the person. And then you really are changed. So all these goddesses I visited in their temples, they have returned in my consciousness. And I'm having all these incredible visions that I see them in my dreams, or like I'm working, all of a sudden I have an image in my eyes, a message, all these things. And I'm writing a book about this. But anyway, the point is that we're have a choice now. We can clean up the earth and heal our countries. And it's not just an American phenomenon. It's rather this phenomena of these beings coming, the neutrinos of the sun, etc., are for everybody on Earth. So I believe that's a great thing that's happening, and we should celebrate it, in my view.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're writing another book. So we'll have to look forward to hearing more about your book when you get it finalized.
Okay.
Share with us a little bit if somebody's listening, because we're getting close to the end of our time together. How can they connect with you? And I'll have your website throughout this video and through the description. But what are some of the things you offer if somebody wanted to work directly with you?
First of all, I offer my books. They're on Amazon. Another one will be in the bookstores in Italy. But here in the US, you can find all my books on Amazon. Bliss Lab is my first, how the ancient yogis acquired supernormal powers and how you can too. So the message is get your supernormal powers back. They're inside of you. They are waiting for you to acknowledge them. And the most recent one is Think and Receive Miracles. So that's a very powerful book, I think, so they can get that and understand a little bit what can be done now. To open up our psychic centers, or at least to start honoring who we really are. We are God. So the yogis were not exaggerating. It's really true. We are fully empowered divine beings if we allow it, if we don't get into fears and self-deprecation, which is almost a sport in some countries. For example, in England, I know people like to be more charming by insulting themselves. That doesn't work for me. I think we should respect who we are. Of course, not everybody. I mean, some of my friends are from England and they're very self-respectful and they love people, etc. So it's not a country, but it's cultural sometimes, right? We think, oh, that person will hate me if I respect myself too much and if I trust myself. So no, I'm dumb. No, don't say that about yourself ever, right? Because we are fully empowered light beings. Really, we're really light. We're visualizing this simulation that we have flesh and blood. It's not even real. There we go. So that's the way. But also I offer coaching programs. So you can learn, for example, the passwords to connect with the goddesses. If you're a woman, women usually like the goddess more. But for men, the goddess is already inside of us. The Shakti, the real power in the Vedic tradition, and I don't want to offend anybody, is feminine. It's called the Shakti, and the gods are inert. I mean, they're dormant until the Shakti becomes active, of their wife usually, because we live in duality. We have invented a goddess, wife, consort. But really, we are beings who have both, right? So the gods, you'll see, for example, Shiva Shakti, have male and have female. So we can use both, right? Women will become empowered. They have to use a little bit of their masculine energy to assert themselves, get a degree, go to work, dress up in the morning, take care of everything. That takes a lot of energy and caring too, yes. And also the feminine, which is fully loving, fully psychic, fully intuitive. So women are not neurotic when they say, oh, I had a dream about that. I know that. They mean it. They have that capacity even more than men because women have accepted it. For example, my mother, a journalist, very well known in Italy, fully psychic, but she didn't like it. She was afraid of that. And I thought, no, that's awesome. I want that. And I had, some intuition. So I cultivated it, accepting it, honoring it, and actually wanting more of it. I don't mean that, like I become delusional, that I become, like I don't know, like all day long trying to get into that state, but it's not even possible in a modern life, right? You live in a cave and then you are fully omniscient, or you live in the world and you do your best to use your intuition, but also to function at the rational level, at the intellectual level.
I love
Thank
that.
you so much for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you and your listeners. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And when you get ready for your other book to release, we'll have to have you back on to talk about that and what that's going to be like for all of us so we can explore a little bit of that. So,
Yes, and also maybe you would like a free Vedic astrology consultation. I usually don't do that, but I want to have a special gift as a thank you.
I would love that. I think that would be awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope you'll like, comment, and follow us on your favorite channels, and that we'll see you again in the future as I interview other leaders, spiritual authors, creators, individuals. So have a sacred and magical week, and thank you so much for staying with us today.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.